So what is wind power? Wind power is a renewable energy source that could help conserve fossil fuels. Wind turbines have large blades mounted on a tall tower which are connected to a cell that contains gears linked to a generator. As the wind blows, it transfers some of its kinetic energy to the blades, which turn and drive the generator. Several wind turbines may be grouped together in a windy location to form wind farms. Therefore, from some perspectives, wind farms are noisy and may spoil the view for people living near them. The amount of electricity generated depends on the strength of the wind, consequently making it unreliable. If there is no wind, there is no electricity.
The proportion of the UK's electricity generated by renewables increased by 60% between the second quarter of 2012 and the second quarter of 2013. The amount of electricity the country generated from onshore wind rose by 70% between the second quarter of 2012 and the second quarter of 2013. Power generation from offshore wind increased by 51% on a year over the same time period. While it's interesting to look at renewable electricity, generation from fossil fuels still dominates the UK power sector. The electricity generation share for coal and gas changed very little between the second quarter of 2012 and the same period in 2013. Coal generated 35% of the country's electricity in the second quarter of 2013. Gas accounted for 28.5% of power production. With the passage of the EU Energy Directive in 2009, the UK government agreed to an overall target of generating 15% of its energy supply from renewable sources by 2020. It is estimated that over 12,000 wind farms would be needed to make this goal achievable. The British Wind Energy Association estimates that this will require an ambitious 35 to 40% of the UK's electricity to be generated from renewable sources by that date.
What are the positive factors for using wind power? The main advantage to producing wind power instead of burning fossil fuels is the environmental impact. Once the wind turbine is built, the energy it produces does not give off greenhouse gases or other pollutants into the atmosphere. It is also a renewable source, which will help us conserve the fossil fuels which will run out soon. Wind is a natural occurrence, so it's free, and with the modern technology that we have today, the energy from the turbines can be captured effectively. The towers and turbines that turn wind into electricity come in different sizes to meet different needs. The biggest wind turbines use rotators spanning more than 100 yards, mounted on towers higher than 20-story buildings. One of those can generate enough power to support 1,400 homes. A unit designed to make electricity for a single house might have blades with a diameter as small as 8 feet on top of a 30-foot tower. This is especially advantageous for remote areas that are not connected to the electricity power grid.
So what are the negative factors for using wind power? Although one turbine can produce energy for 1,400 homes, it is a very unreliable source. The strength of the wind is not consistent, and it varies from 0 to storm force. This means that wind turbines do not produce the same amount of electricity all the time. There will be times when they produce no electricity at all. These huge turbines can't be put up in the middle of cities, so they use the countryside, which causes a fleet of complaints from the people living in these areas. Wind turbines are noisy. Each one can generate the same level of noise as a family car traveling at 70 miles per hour. These people complaining are all for using renewable energy, but not when it means they have this noise in their backyard. This is called the "not in my backyard" attitude. Also, many people feel that the countryside should be left untouched, without these large structures being built. The landscape should be left in its natural form for everyone to enjoy. They see large wind turbines as an unsightly structure and not pleasant or interesting to look at. They disfigure the countryside and are generally ugly.
So, do the positives outweigh the negatives? Overall, the main problem is that we need an alternative solution to fossil fuels, and according to research and the weighing up of the positives and negatives, this solution is just as viable as other renewable energy sources such as solar power. Moreover, solar power is probably a better solution due to the fact that it is freely available and more consistent source than wind power. The "not in my backyard" attitude needs to be halted, and the public need to be more informed about the situation we are in today, and it might have to be something that they have to accept.
Lord Adair Turner, chairman of the government's official independent advisers, the Committee on Climate Change, says,
"It is really regrettable that people leap, without reading the facts, to things that they want to believe. Wind works. The idea that it is so intermittent that it is not beneficial, that is rubbish. There are countries getting large amounts of energy from wind."
Although it seems inconvenient and it seems like the turbines cost a lot to build, we need to understand that we have to follow in the footsteps of other countries using wind power. Overall, wind is a viable alternative to fossil fuels. Even though there are limitations, the benefits outweigh them.